Hey guys, it's Miss Johnson. Um, Welcome to the afternoon's video. Today I'm going to talk about isolating a variable as well as give you an example of what a portfolio page for this concept would be. So yeah, let's get started. So if we're just solving for x, there we go. If we're just solving for x like we've been doing, let me just do a quick example so I can compare it to something else. If we're solving for x, solve for x, we would add 4 to both sides in the service of getting 3x by itself. And then again, if we're trying to solve for x, if we're trying to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 3 on both sides and get that x is 4. Okay, that's straightforward. What if instead, this is going to look kind of nuts, what if instead we had a times x minus b equals c? There's no numbers, but I still want to solve for x. Okay, when we say solve for x, regardless of what's around it, the whole point is to get x by itself by undoing everything that's happening to x. Over here, we saw that it was 3 times x minus 4, so we got rid of the minus 4. Over here, we have a times x minus b. We're going to get rid of the minus b. And this is starting to get a little wacky, but that's fine. Minus b plus b cancels out, and this side just becomes ax. Just like over here, this side just became 3x when we canceled out the plus 4 minus 4. And this side, instead of being able to do 8 plus 4 equals 12, equals some number, right here we've just got c plus b, and we just write c plus b, right? We can't simplify these because they're not like terms, like we talked about in class today. So this is as simplified as it gets. We just leave it as c plus b. Okay, over on this analogous step here, when we had 3 times x equals 12, we divided by 3 to get the x alone. Over here, if we want this x alone, we need to divide by a. Fine. Ax divided by a is just x. C plus b over a is just c plus b over a. The other way to write this is we can divide the c by a, and we can divide the b by a. And this is kind of like the hardest version of isolating a variable, which is you had some equation. You were told that you wanted to get a specific variable by itself, and then we did that. It didn't matter if these were numbers or other letters or other variables. We just wanted to get x by itself. So let's try a more concrete example. Usually, when we have more than one variable in an equation and we want to isolate one of the variables, we're usually isolating for y. We're usually trying to solve for y to get y by itself so we can graph equations. Because usually when we graph, we've got y equals some stuff, and then we use this stuff to graph a line. But in order to be in this form, we have to have y by itself on one of the sides. So we're going to practice getting y by itself here. All right, let's start with this one. 6x plus 3y equals 12. If I want to get y by itself, the first thing I need to do is get rid of this 6x term. I'm going to get rid of it by... Okay, yeah, I'm going to get rid of the 6x by subtracting 6x from both sides. This side cancels, and this side becomes 3y. And then 12 minus 6x, these are not like terms, right? The 12 and the 6x cannot combine. So we just write it as 12 minus 6x. All right, our goal is still to get y by itself, is to isolate y. So right now we have 3 times y. We want to divide that by 3. All right. Success! We got y by itself. Let's simplify this side. When we do 12 minus 6x divided by 3, what we're doing is 12 divided by 3 minus 6x divided by 3. So we did the 12 divided by 3 to get our 4. And we did our negative 6x divided by 3. 6x divided by 3 to get our 2x. And then that's just our answer. We're good, right? We cannot combine 4 and negative 2x anymore. They're not like terms. So we're just finished. And then in these answers, you'll have numbers and you'll have other variables. As long as your answer doesn't also include a y, you're good, right? We want y by itself on one side and the other side to have nothing, no y's, but everything else. All right, let's do another example. We've got 5x minus 3y equals 7. And again, we want to solve for y. Right off the bat, I can kind of tell this answer is not going to be as nice. We're probably going to have decimals. Over here, 6, 3, and 12 were all divisible by 3, which is why it came out that we had nice numbers at the end. But 3, 5, and 7 are what we call coprime. It means they don't divide nicely into each other. But that's just going to be all right. We're going to have decimals sometimes. Okay, if we want y by itself, the first thing we do is get rid of the 5x. Minus 5x. These cancel. On the left-hand side, we're just left with negative 3y. And on the right-hand side, we have 7 minus 5x. Again, these are not like terms. We can't combine them, so this is as simple as it gets. Then, to get the y by itself, we're going to divide by negative 3. On this side, it works out nicely, because we just have y. And on this side, we do 7 divided by negative 3 minus 5 divided by negative 3. The other way we can think about this is 7 divided by negative 3 is negative 2.3 repeating. And then a negative 5 divided by a negative 3. First off, it's a negative divided by a negative, so that turns into a positive. And then 5 divided by 3 is what? 1.6x. So our final answer is y is equal to negative 2.3333 plus 1.6666x. And that's just a fine answer. When we get these answers, you shouldn't think, oh, I did something wrong, it's a decimal. No, I mean, we'll have answers that are decimals sometimes. And you should be confident that if you followed the right steps, even if your answer is like kind of ugly, it doesn't mean it's incorrect. Okay, so that's the lowdown on isolating variables. You have an assignment called isolating variables that you'll work on this afternoon. It follows this. You're either solving for x or for y. Make sure you're solving for the right variable based on what the problem's asking, and then make sure you show all your steps. Seems good. The rest of this video, I'm going to go into our portfolio assignment, our solving unit portfolio, and give you an example of if one of the things on your list was isolating variables, what that would look like, right? So you're going to make a page that kind of looks like this, but you're going to do it for solving for x. You're going to do it for distributive property. You're going to do it for combining like terms, and you're going to do it for substitution. But here's a page, for example, if we were going to do isolating a variable. So I've got my title, my explanation of the math concept. I said when you're given an equation with more than one variable and you're asked to solve for a specific one, it's called isolating a variable. The end goal is to get a specified variable on one side of the equation and everything else, numbers and variables, to the other side, which is what we did here, right? We had an equation with more than one variables, and the end goal was getting y by itself. So when you're writing up explanations, you're kind of just saying what you're trying to do and how you're going to do it. Then I give an example. So I made up my own example. This is not from a worksheet. This is just from my head. If you want to use an example from a worksheet, go ahead. So my example question was 3x plus 4y equals 10, solve for x. Because I want x by itself, I moved the 4y over to the right side. Then I divided by the 3 to get x equals 3.333 minus 1.333y. So I've written up my explanation, I've written up my example, and then the last thing the portfolio page needs is an explanation of the challenges. What is hard about this? Oh, I forgot to underline it. What's hard about this skill? So I've written, sometimes having negatives and positives in an equation can be hard to keep track of, like when we had to do minus 5 divided by negative 3 and it turned out positive. And then also when the numbers don't divide nicely, the answer has fractions or decimals in it, which is sometimes confusing. So these are the challenges of this type of problem. So yeah, your portfolio will eventually look like this page, but for the 4 skills that are listed, as well as an additional 5th page that's a reflection about this unit so far. All right, guys, that's it for the video right now. Ask me if you have any questions. Email me, message me on Teams. I am available like most of the day. So let me know. And if there's no questions, I'll see you on Monday. Bye.